The Sega CD was an interesting piece of hardware known for its very high price tag and horrible FMV video games. It had a very small collection of games on it. So, I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games. And if you think you know the Sega CD up and down, then you probably don't need to watch this episode whatsoever. But for everyone else out there, here is the top 10 hidden gems of the Sega CD.
Second Opinion Games.
Number 10, BC Racers. Made by Core Design and set in the Chuck Rock universe, it's half Mario Kart and half Flintstones with just a tad bit of Road Rash thrown in there. Has a very cartoony atmosphere with some pretty cool tunes in the background, and you have yourself a Mario Kart clone that actually plays pretty darn good. Sometimes the levels aren't all flat, there's little tiny bumps here and there, or maybe some freaking huge ones. Cool special effects, including lighting effects, where you have headlights on your bike. Don't ask me how they did that in caveman times, because I don't freaking know. Also, something that this game has that Mario Kart doesn't, hot babes. And anytime you put hot babes in your game, it's immediately a lot better in my book. BC Racers is really fun and certainly worthy of the hidden gem. Number 9, MicroCazzo. Have you ever wanted to shrink down really small, jump inside of another human body, and shoot out the parasites that are inside of him? Well, if you have, I would say you're freaking weird, with very unusual tastes. However, this game is clearly for you, with 500 megabytes of brilliant CGI action as you fly through the innards of this person. Somehow there's weird space stations in here as well. It's actually kind of confusing, but a whole lot of fun. I don't understand anything that's going on in this game, but you don't need to. I absolutely love the style of the on-rail shooter, and this is clearly one of the most hilariously bad yet also fun times you could even have on the Sega CD. And the game can be found at a rather low price. Number 8, Wirehead. One day, the guy from the Stride gum commercial got hit on the head really hard, so the surgeon implanted something in his brain to let other people control him. That makes that surgeon a really bad jerk. It also means that killers are after you because they want to steal that technology to take over the world. And this is a fast-paced adventure game, full motion video at that, where you could choose lots of different branching paths. What makes this game so much fun is seeing just where you can go. Not every choice you make leads to your death. Sometimes there's shortcuts, or sometimes they're just different ways of doing things. This game is actually pretty fun, even though it can be beaten in about a half hour. I strongly recommend it for anyone who wants to fulfill their FMV needs. Number 7, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. This is the first time I had a chance to fully play as an interactive cartoon, driving a 1953 Cadillac through a post-apocalyptic world where everything is out to kill you. Don't forget to wear your seatbelts because you will crash again and again before you fully get the hang of it. You drive and shoot at the same time, with different branching paths to take you to different parts of this game. If you don't know how to play, you're basically going to drive in circles forever. So make sure you look it up a little bit online first. But the game will be really fun, with cutscenes that are almost sort of fully animated, and great voice acting, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs is a pure winner. First place. Number 6, AH3 Thunderstrike. Proving that rock and roll and gunships go together better than peanut butter and chocolate, you fly around this super horsepower beast of a helicopter and you take down everything in its path. You have mission briefings that are fully voiced, and quite well done at that. On top of it, you have controls that are spot on, and attention to detail down to every last CG bit and goodness. Also, the graphics look really good. Heck, the loading times are actually even impressive to watch, and over very, very quickly at that. This is one of the true action shoot-em-ups on the Sega CD, proving that you needed the CD to add to the Genesis's horsepower just to play this game. It is brilliant on nearly every level. Now I can live out my Top Gun fantasies. That is, me in a helicopter shooting down airplanes. Yeah. Take that, goose.
Mission complete.
Number 5, The Misadventures of Fling. Or just Flink, whatever you want to call it. Any way you look at it, this is brought to you by the same team that worked on the Adventures of Lomax on the PlayStation 1, which is an incredible game. Also comes with it its gorgeous art style, the whimsical music, and fantastic overall feel of the game. It might have a slightly darker color palette, probably because the Genesis used a little bit different colors that weren't so lively as the PlayStation did, but it still holds very good to this day. 52 levels, 5 bosses at the end of each world, 13 different music tracks, 92 different creatures to attack, and a crafting system that makes you come up with your own spells. And tons of different spells at that. The platforming in this game is absolutely beautiful, and overall, this is a very expensive and well-quality made game. Number 4, KO Flying Squadron. Now, I'm not saying this is the best shoot-em-up for the Sega CD by far, but what the game does have is personality, in that it has this very cute 10-year-old girl in a bikini flying a dragon, shooting up things it probably shouldn't be shooting up. Your main villain is a super genius raccoon that wants to take over the world. So, of course, I'm going to destroy all of his followers, even if one of them is Uncle Sam himself, that I have to take out. So, beat. And this game is a fast-paced, cute-em-up shooter that is ingenious. It's a little bit cartoony and just plain fun to play. Unfortunately, it's also super, super expensive. So if you don't already have it, well, you're never gonna get it. Sorry, guys. Number 3, Mickey Mania. The Timeless Adventures of Mickey Mouse. If you love platform games, then you absolutely owe it to yourself to play this one. Sure, you could pick it up on other platforms, but they feel incomplete by comparison. You see, this one has CD quality sound, so the music is great. Also, you get to hear Mickey Mouse talk to you throughout his adventure. And that is what really sells this game. One minute you could be in a ghost house, and the next you could be being chased down by a moose with 3D effects that aren't seen anywhere else except for the Sega CD. And this is simply one of the best platform games you've probably thought you've played until you played it on the Sega CD. Number 2, Robo Elise. Have you ever wanted to pilot a giant, mechanized, flying war machine of death that happens to also be steam-powered through feudal Japan about 500 years ago, just trashing everything in sight, trying to bring down evil shoguns? Well, this bullet hell shooter is for you. Actually, it's more of a precursor to the bullet hell shooter. There is bullets all over the place, but it's not as extreme as Ikaruga. Also, there's some sprite scaling effects, and large enemies to defeat. This is probably one of the best shoot-em-ups of the entire 16-bit generation. There's also plenty of great music, tons of different power-ups, some of which are really fun. And more than your just standard spread shot, kill everything. When you're really powered up, you feel like the boss in this game. However, when you die, you're all the way back down to nothing, so don't even bother continuing. But who cares? This is just dumb fun from start to finish. And there's nothing I love more than dumb fun. Number 1, Popful Mail. This is a Working Designs masterpiece. Nearly every single line of dialogue in the entire game is voice acted and done really well. Sometimes even a little bit too well. Later in the game, there's one of my favorite characters. It's Sven the Uncommon, who basically just does Arnold Schwarzenegger riffs left and right. Also, there are 3 different playable characters, and when you go into a boss battle, depending on which character you have, there's different dialogue suited to that character. This game plays terrific. Sure, the graphics are just your standard Genesis graphics, but the game itself is nearly perfect on every level. It's also super darn expensive, but I'm happy to have this one in my collection. And by far, this is probably my favorite action RPG of all times, and the first RPG I could fully understand thanks to all that spoken dialogue, because I have difficult time reading. And if you do too, then this is your game. Also, the game is simply just one of the best ever made, so you have to pick it up if you have a Sega CD. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this list. I had a great time making it. Popful Mail is my favorite Sega CD game, and yes, I'm including Snatcher in there, Sonic CD, and Shining Force CD, which are all great games, but Popful Mail clearly takes the cake for me. I want you guys to let me know what games for the Sega CD I should cover in the future, and I already covered a couple Sega CD games if you already haven't watched already. So until later, I'll see you again, guys.